What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 132. 132, my folks. And first of all, I want to send a big congratulatory shout out to Dave Roberts and the crew, the blue crew, the boys in blue, the LA Dodgers, World Series champions yet again, back to back, 2 in a row. I had a feeling they'd get it done, but oh boy, Toronto, the Blue Jays, they put up a stiff resistance, didn't they? And so it was a worthy opponent. The Blue Jays, a great team. I felt for Vladdy. Vladdy played his ass off and would have been MVP if Toronto could have figured out a way to pull it out. Epic World Series. 7 games, all those extra innings played. And then, too, see, you have to understand, my folks, baseball. Baseball was my first love, you dig? I grew up on it, and I was a pitcher. That was my first position. I couldn't tell you how many fastballs, curveballs, sliders, forkballs, screwballs, knuckle curves, and all manner of pitches I've thrown as a youth. And so I have a special admiration for great pitching. And I've got to say, Yamamoto, I call him Yama. Yama. Oh, brother, that dude deserved MVP. He pitched, just magnificently. So it was a pleasure. And, you know, that splitter that Yama's got, looking at it move, at it dance. Oh, very impressive. And so congratulations to the Dodgers. And let me just say this as a bow on the subject. Listen, now, Dave Roberts is a made man, okay? This is a message going out to the roaches out there. I want you to scurry on off now. Scurry on away off to some other dark corner to crawl around in filth. Leave Dave Roberts alone. Leave him be. He's a made man. He is a Hall of Fame manager, or will be. And the Dodgers are primed to go for the so elusive three-peat next year. You leave Dave alone now. Scurry on, roaches, scurry on. And so I could go on about the Dodgers and baseball and the World Series, the Fall Classic, and it was that. But this episode, this is not about the Dodgers. I just wanted to tip my cap and send out congratulations. And you know, I love a parade. It's a great time to be a sports fan in LA. I tell you that right now, because the Lakers look great. Listen. I just saw my Lakers without the Don, without Bron. No Bron, no Don, no problem. Without Reeves. They didn't have their top 3 players. And they took on a scrappy, feisty Portland team. And they whooped them. In Portland, no less. Very impressive. And so that can only bode well if you can take down a decent to quality team without your top 3 players. You got these guys. You saw the clip, didn't you? They were hollering out, who is 12? Because LaRavia was lighting up Minnesota. You got LaRavia, and I'm hopeful that Ayton is going to be about it. You've got Rui. Come on now. Now, Rui, sometimes he'll float on. He does. But when he's engaged, Rui's a baller. And so he got a nice little bench now and then you got these bench players that are injured. And so when you get back your full complement, full strength, including Bron and the Don, oh boy, I think you might have something to reckon with here with the Lakers. But this episode, this is not about the Lakers. Now, I have to tell you, in that whole little run up to Halloween, man, I had a terrible time with the Gremlins. The Gremlins run amok around here. And so my production schedule got all out of whack, and I wasn't able to release my video in a timely fashion as I normally would. And so a lot of things got pushed back due to technical difficulties, but don't fret, don't worry. I have an outstanding episode on the Lakers still coming up. But this episode, this one, 132, this is the continuing chronicle of the SS Ramball's voyage to championship waters. Now, I told you, I've been telling you that I believe the Rams can go all the way. And it looks like for a change, the media is starting to pick up on it. There's an awful silence when it comes to Rams reporting. You don't hear much about them. That East Coast bias, that's real. They spend a lot of time talking about the Jets, and the Giants, and then you got these talk shows, these people, they're just glorified fans who found a way to have a platform instead of operating on the outskirts of the city. They're mainstream, like Neander. Well, Neander's from KC, see? So he's just been delirious and beside himself with KC playing so well over these last few years. And so my point is, you hear very little about the Rams typically. But I've been telling you from here that this season has the makings of something special. I told you the Rams would get to the bye at 5-2, and they did. And I told you they'd get New Orleans out of the bye, and they did. And so here we are now, the Rams at 6-2. And they're sitting atop the NFC West. But it's very interesting because, the NFC West, well, that's another thing we talked about. It looks like the NFC West is the best division in all of professional football, doesn't it? And so the Rams are tied as it stands now. They're 6-2, and so is Seattle. Look at Seattle. And I just saw the latest NFL power rankings, and the number one team ranked in the NFL according to most power rankings, Seattle. And the number 2 team, according to most power rankings, the LA Rams. So now people are starting to be forced to come to grips with the fact that there's some balling going on at the Palace in Inglewood. And I'm not talking about hardball. I'm talking about Ramball. And it's a beautiful thing because, I've been telling you as well. Why don't people give Matty more MVP consideration? I've been telling you now for several episodes, he's on an MVP clip. Well, now, finally, I hear from the various corners, oh, Matty should be MVP. Matty's MVP at this point. If the season ended today, Matty would be MVP. Matty is balling out, leading the league in most of the quarterback categories of note. And the big thing for me, as I told you just last week, Matty is not turning the ball over. He is restraining the poltergeist. And so that's the key ingredient as long as he can. Because, that first year Matty got to L.A., he was the leader in pick sixes in the whole league. Whoo! But that was several years ago now. And now look at him. He's calm. He fits. He's got it all together. It's working. It's clicking. And they must have forgot about Tay. Because I always hear people talking about the great receivers, and there are a lot of great young receivers, but how are you going to forget about Tay? So, the Rams sort of operating under the radar, and maybe that's good. Maybe they like it that way. Maybe that's for the best. Don't worry about the headlines and all the requests for interviews and that. Just keep balling. Just keep winning. And so, let's go ahead now and get to the heart of this episode. The Rams blowed out the hapless New Orleans Saints, possibly the worst team in the NFL. And so they did what they were supposed to do. When a lousy team comes your way, you have to crush them. You have to stomp them out. You have to make them graze on SoFi turf or wherever you're playing. And they did that with New Orleans. And so that's the way to handle it. And so I'm not going to spend too much time this episode going over the game analysis. I'm not going to give you a game analysis. In fact, New Orleans got them asses whooped. That's how that went. And that's the analysis for this week. Asses were whooped. Okay? So, 34-10, that's how you do it. So congrats to Coach McGenius. L's and dubs, dubs and L's. Which one did he get? He got the damn dub. Congratulations, Coach, and to the rest of the squad. And so now here we are. Oh, yeah, this is the groovy part of the season now. You're done with the bye. 6-2. And who's coming up next? Well, if it isn't Father Shanahan and them damn Niners. I told you I'm going to start calling him Sorcerer Shanahan. How the hell do they have 6 wins at this point in the season with the litany of injuries they've had? The losses they had in the offseason and then all the injuries. And yet there they are now. They're 6-3 because they haven't had their bye yet. And so they are third in the division due to that third loss at 6-3. But this week, San Francisco, them damn Niners. And this would be a glorious time for the Rams to really go ahead and put something on San Francisco and erase all doubt, even up the season record at 1-1, go up on the road. Now the Rams are favored in this game. As of this recording, when I last looked, the Rams were 3.5 point favorites. So them damn Niners are home dogs. But you throw all that out the window because Father Sorcerer Shanahan finds a way against young Coach McBlunder every time, doesn't he? Well, it seems as though he's got the edge on him. He's got him by the short hair, his father does with his son, a little McWonder. So you can't really go by trends, trajectories, Vegas odds, money lines, none of that business. Not when it comes to McWonder and Father Shanahan. And so this would be a magnificent time to go up there and exercise some demons, Coach, and get a dub up there against them damn Niners. And come on home for the showdown the following week against Seattle, the team that now sits atop most power rankings. So you can see the stage is well set. Now, just just observations from the game. No analysis, the New Orleans game. Observations, well, it was good to see Puka back. Puka's a big component. He's a major factor. He's a big ingredient in that recipe. But Puka couldn't finish the game. He was hurt again, left the game in the third quarter and did not return. And, you know, sometimes there are those years where things just don't get untracked. And I hope that's not this year for Puka. I think they've got enough weapons that they can give him an extra game off, maybe two, so that he's ready down the stretch. But I am concerned. I worry about whether Puka will be available for the postseason and the stretch run leading there. Now, as I say, they must have forgot about Tay. So Tay has been brilliant with the touchdown receptions. So he's still there. You got a young receiving core, and I like something that I saw Coach McGenius pull out after the bye against the Saints. He came out and shocked everybody. Instead of his traditional 11 personnel, Coach had him in 13 personnel. One running back, 3 tight ends, 3. And each of the tight ends got in on the fun. And so I thought that was a great wrinkle. And so you saw the Ghost, Colby Parkinson, get in on the fun, and Higbee got in on the fun, and Cousin Allen, I saw Cuz get in on the fun, and Ferguson too. He's got 4 tight ends, and he's running 13 personnel quite effectively. So that was brilliant. Now, I want to also point out that the running game was on point against New Orleans. I'd very much love to see, you know this, Coach, I'd love to see you replicate that kind of run effort and energy going forward down the stretch, and you'll be just fine. Kyron Williams, K-Will, got his first 100-yard rushing game of the season in this game. I do believe it was. And so, at least as far as the run game is concerned, it had been a little plodding, and a lot of that, I believe, was just lack of usage. Because the backs were hitting 5, 4.5, 5, 5.5 yards a carry game after game, but they weren't getting the carries. We've discussed this on numerous occasions. And so, not coincidentally, we also saw against the Saints, Blake Corum, Deuces, had his best rushing game as a pro. And so we need to see more of this, Coach, moving forward. Other observations from the Saints game. Well, that defense shines again. I've been on the defense from the beginning, you know this, and I've been telling you and anyone who will listen, that defense is the genuine article. They are the real deal, and they are proving it week in and week out, and they did so again against New Orleans. So big up to the Rams defense. And then, conversely, the yin and the yang, that kicking game. Whoo! We're still seeing issues, problems, missed kicks, just inexplicable wide way to hell off kicks, blocks, penalty. It's just a cesspool of messy fools on special teams with the kicking game right now, and I'm concerned greatly because after this amount of time, now we're about midway through the season. And coming out of your bye, knowing that you've had this issue, and then to come right into that first game after the bye against the hapless Saints, and you still look lousy in your kicking game. It's starting to make me think this is a feature of this Rams squad, not a bug. And that's troubling because you know it's going to cost you against a good team. You know it is. Other observations, well, it was great. It was great to see that original offensive line intact. You from left to right, you know, your left tackle is Alaric Jackson. You've got Steve Avila. You've got your center now back is Coleman Shelton. You got Dotson at right guard, and then Havenstein, the original St. Louis Ram. He's still manning right tackle, and that's who started that game. And so it was good to see. And that offensive line has been grading out. PFF has been grading out the Rams' offensive line top shelf. Okay, so those five, you know, healthy and playing together, they are an elite offensive line. They are an elite unit in the NFL. And so that, I'm giving you, you know, on the one hand, on the other, on the bright side, but then on the other side. And so that is a bright side. But regrettably, you know, injuries will take a toll. And so the offensive line has been intact, but the wide receiver room has been beat up. And so, you know, you saw we talked about Puka, and then Tutu has been inactive. So that's just an inevitable part of the grind of the marathon that is an NFL season. All right, so now let's go ahead and do what we have to do. Let's go ahead and apply the principle, my 25-30 principle to this game. Let's start with the victors. Let's start with the Rams. Well, Matthew Stafford, Matty from the D, was 24 of 32. Not bad. He was sacked twice. That's a grand total of 34 pass attempts. 34, that's slightly over the cap. So we have to put an X across that metric. And what about rushing for the Rams? Well, Will, 25 carries. That's what I'm talking about, McWonder. 25 carries, 114 yards, 4.5 yards a pop, and a touchdown. Outstanding. Will, 25 carries. And then Corum Deuces, 13 carries, 58 yards. He's at 4.5 a pop. And Puka had a jet sweep for 3. That's a grand total of 39 rushes, 39 design runs, 39 carries. That, coach, is how you do it. And so McWonder hits that metric. Ding, ding, ding. And so he hits one and misses one. Let's take a look at his balance differential. At least he's in the positive, my folks. McWonder has a +5 balance differential on the day. +5. He usually lives in the negatives. He's got a condo in the negatives. But now, let's flip it over. Let's take a look at the losers. Let's look at the Saints. Well, let's see. Their quarterback, 15 of 24. It's paltry, though, 176 yards. He had a touchdown and a Poltergeist strike. And so Taysom Hill also threw a pass, one pass incomplete. They were sacked once. That's a grand total of 26 pass attempts. That's a check. Ding, ding, ding. They met that metric. What about rushing? Well, there it is now. Let's see. Taysom Hill, that's that Wildcat business. He had 4 carries. Kamara only had 6 carries. Neal had 3. They had 13 total runs. 13! That's way woefully short. And so their balance differential, negative 13. Negative 13. And so really, this game, it belies the statistics because the Rams thoroughly dominated and outplayed the Saints. I mean, when you look at it across the board, well, the Rams, they had nearly double total yards of the Saints. They had 100 more passing yards, 120 plus more rushing yards. They tripled the Saints in terms of first downs, 30 for the Rams, 10 for the Saints. They were 50% on fourth down. The Saints were awful. They were 2 for 2 on fourth down. The Rams were. Saints 0 for 2. Rams had 77 total plays. Saints only 40. And, well, maybe aside from the core ingredients, maybe the biggest thing, no turnovers for the Rams. Meanwhile, the Saints, 2 turnovers. Time of possession, 43 minutes, 53 seconds for LA, 16 minutes and 7 seconds for New Orleans. Where are the paper bags for the fans down there? Now, let's go ahead then and give out our game balls. Game balls, game balls. Well, game ball. Matthew Stafford, 24 of 32, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, and as I say, he's playing clean, no turnovers. Game ball. Matthew Stafford, in my mind, at this juncture of the season, he should be your leading candidate for NFL MVP. Game ball. Kyren Williams, K-Will. Let's give him one. 25 carries, as we touched on earlier. 114 yards, 4.6 a pop, and the teddy. Kyren Williams, outstanding game, sir. Just give him the rock, McWonder, and you will get these kind of results. I do believe. Game ball, K-Will. And then let's give out a game ball on the defensive side as well. How about game ball? Emmanuel Forbes Jr. Well, he had 3 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle, and a poltergeist strike. Yes. Great game ball. Emmanuel Forbes Jr. And on the defensive end, I want to give out an honorable mention to Cam Kinchins. We've given him game balls and honorable mentions before. He was your leading tackler on the day. And honorable mentions extend on the offensive side of the ball as well. I want to give deuces, Blake Corum, honorable mention as well. Puka Nacua. And I hope he's okay or will be. And honorable mention, Devontae Adams. They forgot about Tay. And so, there you have it, my folks, game balls. Now, very quickly, I just want to take a look at the Rams' upcoming schedule. Next, the sorcerer, Father Shanahan, and then Seattle Seahawks, and then Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so it's San Francisco on the road, them damn Niners, and then Seattle at the Palace, and that's followed by Tampa Bay at the Palace in Inglewood. The Tampa Bay game is Sunday night football. And then following that, the Rams play Carolina Panthers, who are resurgent. They actually are ahead of the Atlanta Falcons in the standings as of now. And then the Cardinals, the first joust with the Cardinals. That's the Rams' next 5. And so I'm expecting a good run out of that 5. The Cardinals are interesting now. It looks like they finally made the decision to move away from the diminutive one, Kyler Murray. And so, with Jacoby Brissett, the offense is moving and they look a lot cleaner and a lot crisper and a lot more competitive. So there are no gimmies, well, maybe beside the Saints in the NFL. And so it's going to be intriguing. And so when you look around the league, well, the Eagles sit atop the NFC East, and they seem to be pretty much clear of the rest of the East. In the NFC North, that whole division still remains to be sorted out. The Vikings are at the bottom of the division, and they're 4-4. And the Packers are 5-2-1 at the top of the division, and so it could really literally go any which way. I suspect, put 'em up, that the Lions will come out of that whole scrum in the end, but it's going to be interesting to watch it down the stretch. In the NFC South, well, Tampa Bay, as I expected, ahead in the division. But then I thought the Falcons would make a run for the division. And instead, look, it's the Panthers are 5-4 and the Falcons are 3-5. And then the best division in the league, the NFC West. Well, we talked about it. The Hawks, them damn Niners, the Rams all have 6 wins. Them damn Niners have that third loss. The Hawks and Rams only 2. And the Cardinals are floundering at 3-5 at the bottom. I'm expecting the Rams to come out of the NFC West. But now it looks like they're going to have to do battle with Seattle. All right, in the AFC, well, what do you know? It's not Buffalo as I expected. It is New England. Okay, 7-2 atop the division. Buffalo right behind at 6-2. And then in the AFC North, I thought the Steelers would be competitive. Mike Tomlin's not going to have a losing season, McWonder. He's not going to go 5-12. But that's another conversation for another day. And so the Steelers sit atop the AFC North, and they're clear of the Ravens by a couple of games, who are still under 500 at 3-5. The AFC South, wow. I thought Houston would come out of there, but man, the Texans are beat up. CJ got knocked out the game. And, the Colts, they just lost. They just took an L. But they're 7-2. And they seem to me to be an echelon above Jacksonville. I just don't believe in Jacksonville. I don't. And then finally, the AFC West. Well, wow. Now KC is 5-4. They're running out of time. The Chargers are a game ahead of them. And wow. Denver, 7-2. They keep coming from these miraculous deficits to win. I don't know. I don't believe in them, but then I'm like, are they going to make me a believer? We'll see. I just don't think Denver's going to hold on to that division. I don't believe it, but time will tell. And so, speaking of time, at this time, what I'm going to ask from you, what I need for you to do, is throw me one of these. Please, like the video. Subscribe. If you haven't already, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Hit the bell. Ring the bell. And then you'll be notified when I drop my next video. And my next video won't be long from this one because we will be back on the other side of them damn Niners, and we will chop up the outcome of that Rams game. And so until then, my friends, Scotty says, thank you for watching. One love.